All right, the supplies you will need are size 4 worsted weight yarn. You can use any size yarn you'd like. You're just going to get a different end result of how big it's going to be, and you will need to adjust your hook if you're going to change your yarn size. So I have these 3 colors picked out. Even this fuzzy one is a size 4. And polyfill. I cannot fit this in the screen. You will need lots of it. I also think this project is good for all those scrap yarn pieces you might have laying around, to use it to fill it in. There is a gauge at the beginning of my pattern if you're looking on the website or if you bought the PDF, but basically you will just use whatever hook size you can crochet tightly with a size 4 yarn. So if you notice that you have a lot of gaps between your stitches, switch up your hook to something smaller. This is made from the bottom up of the ornament, so the first color I want to use is this sparkle white, and we are going to make a magic ring. I will show you if this is something you haven't done before. You make what I say is like the breast cancer logo, that little ribbon. So again, you take your yarn, fold it over itself like that, take that loop, bring it down, take your hook and grab that. Okay, so now this is my working yarn. Do a chain 1. Let's tighten this up. Okay, for round 1, we're going to do half double crochets, and we're going to put 6 of them into the ring. So if you've never done a half double crochet, yarn over, go in the loop, pull up a loop, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over again, pull through all 3. That's 1. Again, yarn over into the ring, pull up a loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so put 6 into the ring. Once you have your 6, now you want to tighten the ring. So take your end and pull that as tight as you can until that closes up. So round 1 is finished. Round 2, we are going to increase into every stitch. So that means we're putting 2 half double crochets into each one. So my first one is here, and I like to grab that tail end with it. And when I do that, it really just makes it where I haven't had a magic ring come undone in anything that I've made where I kind of grab that loop with that first stitch. So here's my first stitch and my second one in the same spot because we're doing increases. And then don't forget to put your stitch marker into your first one. I put it in the first one. I know some people put it in the last one. That's just easier for me to keep track of what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue around, increasing by putting 2 half double crochets into each stitch. And as I go, I'm going to crochet over this tail end so that that's not something I have to go in later and sew, weave in the end. See, so I have it like that, and I'm laying this down so that I can just go right over top it. And since we went over the tail end that whole time, we don't really need to keep going, so just cut off this extra. And that is round 2. You should have 12 stitches. So now for round 3, you're doing the same exact thing as round 2 by increasing in every single stitch around. So that's going to put 2 into each, which will make it 24. So keep going all the way around and making sure that you get your stitch marker into that first stitch so you don't lose track of where you are. Okay, that is the end of round 3. 2 half double crochets in each stitch. For round 4, we're going to repeat the pattern of putting 1 half double crochet into one stitch, and then the next one increase by putting 2. Okay, so keep going around by doing 1 and then 2 in the next. And, you know, give it a look. If at this point, you know, you have really big holes between your stitches, then you're going to want to go down in hook size. But this is, you know, you want it tight like that. Round 5 is very easy because all you're doing is putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch around. So that would be 36 half double crochets for row 5. Okay, row 5 is done. You can see it's starting to curve a little bit. Always count your rows, check that you didn't miss a stitch so you're not filled with regret later. For row 6, we're going to be increasing again. So you're going to do 1 half double crochet in one stitch, 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then increase by putting 2 in that third stitch. Let's get our stitch marker in there. So I did 1, 2, increase, so right there. And repeat this all the way around. 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. Okay, so that's the end of row 6, and you should have 48 stitches all around. Row 7 is another easy one. You're just going to put 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So that is 48 stitches again. And what I like about this pattern is there's a lot of rows that are just, you know, easy repetition like that. So it's a good one for like watching a show at the same time, because if you're like me, my attention span is extremely short. And I actually rarely will just sit and crochet like this. The only time I really do it is for these tutorial videos for you guys. But I honestly can't handle doing that by myself. So at least I'm having to talk and explain, but I don't know, I just can't handle the silence. So I usually have something on, and these are very easy to make while watching something like that. And using a scrap yarn, basically at any point in this pattern, which I should have mentioned this sooner, is you can change color in any row you'd like. I'm just showing you based on the one you saw at the beginning, where I changed colors. You can see there's like a main color in the center, and then I have 2 little stripes, but you can add as many stripes to this as you want, and just, you know, do the math to even it out and figure out where you want the striping of color to be. So the stitch counts will be the same. All you would do is be changing color whenever you want a new color. So keep that in mind, that you can definitely do more things to it than I did. And that is the end of row 7. For row 8, the repeat we're going to do is 3 half double crochets each in one stitch. So 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, and then that 4th one we put 2 in there, so that's an increase. So 2 half double crochets into that one. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, and then increase. Repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 8 is done. Make sure you have 60 stitches all the way around. For row 9, we're going to do 4 half double crochets each in their own stitch. So 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, and then that 5th stitch you're going to do an increase, so 2 half double crochets into that one, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, that's the end of row 9, and make sure you have 72 stitches. For row 10, we're going to do 5 half double crochets and then an increase. I already did one and put my stitch marker in, so that's one. Next stitch, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then an increase, so we're going to put 2 in this next one. Alright, so repeat that around for row 10, 5 half double crochets, and then an increase in the next one. Okay, row 10 is done. Make sure you have 84 stitches. For row 11, we're going to do 6 half double crochets and then an increase. I already did one and put the stitch marker, so that's 1. That's my 6, and then an increase in the next one. And repeat that all the way around for row 11. Okay, row 11 is done, and definitely count your stitches, especially when we start getting into these rows with the bigger numbers. This is 96 stitches on this row. Also, let's make sure that we are facing the correct way this entire time. So there is a right and a wrong side, and yes, you are free to make your work with the wrong side showing, because, you know, do what you want. But the sides you are facing as you crochet, which will be this side, is the correct side that you want showing at the end. So sometimes while you're crocheting, your work will sort of flip inward that way, and what ends up happening is, like, you know, when the curve shape starts growing that way, people tend to leave it like that, and then that's what shows on the outside. So just make sure that, you know, it's curved towards you like that as you go. Not a huge deal. Again, you can do whatever you want either side, but this would be the technically correct way to do it. When I first started, I actually thought this side looked better, but I don't know, I've changed my mind over the years. I'm not sure why, but yeah, just throwing it out there. For row 12, we are increasing again. So I did one already, put the stitch marker in it. We're going to do 7 altogether, so that's 1, and then an increase, so 2 in the next one. All right, so 7, increase all the way around. Row 12 ends with 108 stitches all around. All right, row 13 is an easy one with 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. For row 14, we're going to do 17 half double crochets and then an increase. All right, that's 17, and then the next one we're going to put an increase and repeat that all the way around. Here is row 15 with 114 stitches, and then row 16 you're going to do 1 half double crochet in 18 stitches. So I'm going to do 18 and then an increase, so that's 2, okay, so that's 18, and then the next stitch you're going to do your increase, so 2 half double crochet together in the same stitch, and repeat that all the way around for row 16. Okay, and there is row 16. You can see it's starting to curve, so make sure you have 120 stitches, and then move on to row 17, which is another easy one of just 1 half double crochet into every stitch all the way around. Okay, row 17 is done, 120 stitches. Now we're going to go to row 18. For row 18, you're going to do 1 half double crochet into the next 19 stitches. Okay, and then 2 half double crochet into the next stitch for an increase. and repeat that 6 times total for row 18. Okay, row 18 is done, and you should have 126 stitches. And row 19 is one half double crochet into each stitch. So again, 126 stitches will be your total for row 19. Okay, row 19 is done, and that should have 126 stitches. We're barely able to fit in the screen now. Don't worry if it seems still pretty flat right now. It's going to round out as we keep adding rows. And for that was row 19. I'm not sure now what I said. For row 20, you're going to do 20 half double crochets, one in each stitch for 20, and then an increase. And you're going to repeat that 6 times. And repeat that all the way for row 20 with 20 and an increase. One thing to keep in mind as you go with these bigger rows, it's really easy to accidentally not pull through all the loops on your hook. And what I mean by that, let's say I'm about to do one half double crochet in this stitch. So I yarn over, I go in, I pull up a loop, and then sometimes what happens when you're going really fast is you'll do this and only pull through 2 and not realize it, and then keep going, you know, and pull through all of them like that. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you're noticing you have a wrong stitch count, you most likely did something like that. And that is the end of row 20. You should have 132 stitches. And that is where we will stop with the first color you chose, and we're going to do a stripe next. Okay, next up for row 21, we're going to color change to whatever color you chose to be the stripe on the ball. And I know I already did white, but I wanted to use like this kind of fuzzy, kind of snow looking yarn to be my stripe color. It is still a size 4 yarn, so the same hook size is going to be used for that. So if you've never color changed your yarn, I'll show you. This is the very last stitch from the previous row. So what you're going to do, you're going to actually undo it, and we're going to pretend we're doing that very last stitch again. When you get to this point where you have all 3 loops on your hook, because this is a half double crochet, instead of you doing your last yarn over and pulling all the way through, you're going to yarn over with the new color. Okay, so again, normally when you get to this point, you yarn over, pull through all the way, but instead you're going to yarn over, pull up the loop, stop there, and then take your new color, your new yarn, and grab that. So I'll leave a little tail end like this, and I'm gonna hold both of the yarns that I'm using, and I'm gonna pull through with the new color like that. So now I'm back at the end of row 20. So this is my last stitch, and I now have the new yarn. See, the fuzzy one is what's on my hook, and that's what I'm going to use to start the next row, row 21, with my new stripe color. So row 21 is easy. It's just 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. So I'm going to cut the yarn I was using before, which is the sparkle one. So I cut that with a tail, and now I just have the new color to work with. And I'm going to start like normal, but make sure you have your 2 tail ends like this. You can see both of them. I'm going to pull that tight and start my very first half double crochet in the next row, and I'm crocheting over those tail ends so that they're both going to be hidden inside. So there's one. I'm going to put my stitch marker in, and then my next half double crochet, still with the tail ends laying on top, and crocheting over them. can see that eventually I completely covered that tail and I don't have to sew it in. So I'm going to keep going all the way around for row 21. Okay, row 21 is finished and you can see the fuzzy little texture that's on it. Here is where I did the last stitch of row 21, and we're going to color change again. So just like I showed you before, you can take that last stitch out from the previous row. You're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 1, 2, 3 on your hook, and now we're going to switch to the color you want in the middle of the ball. I'm going to go with red. So I'm going to grab that and pull only that color through to complete the last stitch of row 21. Row 22 is what's going to be in red. For row 22, we're going to do 21 half double crochets and then an increase. So just like before, first we want to cut the previous color that we used for that stripe. So now we have 2 tail ends, the new color and the previous color. We should have the new color on our hook, and we want to make sure we pull that tight, and we're going to start the new row by going over these tail ends to hide them. Now I don't recommend as a beginner that you use this type of fuzzy yarn because it is harder to see where your stitches are. You can see we covered the tail of both of the yarn, and just keep going all the way around by doing 21 stitches, half double crochet, and then an increase with 2. Okay, row 22 is done. You should have 138 stitches all the way around. Row 23 is going to be just 1 stitch, 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So 138 altogether. Okay, row 23 is done with 138 stitches all the way around. Next row, 24, we're gonna do 22 half double crochets and then an increase. Okay, there's 22 half double crochet and an increase in the next one with 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. So there's my increase, and repeat that all the way around for this row. Okay, row 24 is done and you have 144 stitches. Row 25 and 26 are just 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. So we'll come back around once you get through 2 rows of doing 1 stitch in each, 1 half double crochet in each stitch. Okay, this is with rows 25 and 26 finished, and if you noticed, I did switch to another red, a darker red. Definitely not because I underestimated how much of the sparkle yarn I had, but I actually think it's gonna give like a cool ombre look because I'm gonna do a chunk of the red section in the dark red, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 4 rows with sparkle red, and I'll repeat that before I go back to the white. Row 25 and 26 are done, and row 27 is next, and I'm going to do 23 half double crochets and then an increase. Okay, 23 half double crochet and then an increase, 2 half double crochet into the same stitch, and repeat that all the way around for row 27. Okay, row 27 is done. 150 stitches, You can see that ombre look is happening. And then the next 4 rows, row 28, 29, 30, and 31, is just 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So go ahead and do 4 more rows of just 1 stitch in each, 1 half double crochet in each stitch. Okay, I just finished row 31 and we are a little past the halfway point. So again, 150 stitches, row 31 is done. Now we're gonna go to row 32, and this is where we will start to decrease in size. So we're gonna do 23 half double crochets. Okay, there's 23 half double crochets, and then we're going to do a decrease. So this is how you decrease with a half double crochet, and this is what I do for all my amigurumi. Anything that is supposed to be very tight, you can really tell when you do it the other way if your tension isn't very tight. So it's just a good habit to form. So instead of going yarn over, instead of going through both loops on your hook, you see how I'm going through both, you're going to go through just the front one like that. Okay, again, yarn over, go through the front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the next one after that. So you have 2 front loops on your hook. Pull through those 2 front loops and then yarn over and pull through all 3 on your hook. You only made 1 V-stitch and you went through 2 stitches, and doing it that way is just, it blends in more. Okay, so you're going to repeat that, doing 23 and a decrease all the way around. One more thing I want to mention, after you do that decrease, an easy mistake a lot of people make is when they start to do the next stitch after that, which is going to be a regular half double crochet. Be careful that you're going through the right stitch. So if you're ever unsure, kind of like move this, like wiggle it, and you can see that this is attached to the decrease. You see how when you move it, so that's moving. So I know that I need to go in here. Sometimes a new person, you know, might not be able to tell, and they'll go into here, you know, or even, you know, the 2 like that. But I've already gone through that right there. That's that front loop. So here's my next one. Okay, row 32 is done, and you should have 144 stitches. Next is row 33 and 34. They're real easy. You're just going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around, so they will also be 144 stitches. If you were following along with how I changed colors here to sort of create another stripe in the middle, after row 33, when you do row 34, go back to that first color you did here. So right after that little stripe that we added in, whatever color you did here, again, if you were switching along with what I was doing just for this video, then row 34, you're going to change to that other color again. Row 34 is done, and you can see that I switched back to the sparkle red in both in 34 and 33, 144 stitches. Next up for row 35, we're going to do 22 half double crochets. Okay, after that we're going to do a decrease. So I'll show you that again. Yarn over like you're going to do a regular half double crochet, and then your next 2 stitches go through the front loop only. So there's the front loop of that stitch, and then the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through those 2. You have 3 on your hook, pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3, and there's your decrease. So repeat that all the way around. All right, well, row 35 is done. You should have 138 stitches all the way around. You can see the pattern repeat is happening. So there's the first color, the stripe of the fuzzy white, the glitter red, my middle red color, and back to the glitter. Row 36 is 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, row 36 is done. It should really be getting a very bowl-like shape. It's kind of hard to get it all on the camera here. Okay, row 37, you're gonna do 21 half double crochets. Okay, there's your 21 half double crochet, and then a decrease. Okay, row 37 is finished. You should have 132 stitches. For row 38, we are going to switch back to our stripe color, which for mine was that fuzzy white yarn. So we have our last stitch here. I'm gonna get the new color out. So there's my new color that I'm going to switch to. So like I showed you before, we're gonna backtrack by let's take out that last stitch from the previous row, which for this one it was a decrease, and basically the last time that you yarn over and pull through, that should be your new color. So let's start that decrease again. Okay, and then here's the part where I would yarn over and pull through all 3, and I'm going to do that with the new color. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, so we're going to trim that previous color. So now we have 2 tails, new color, old color. We're going to be working with the new color. I'm going to pull that tight. And for row 38, it is just 1 half double crochet all the way around. Okay, row 38 is done. Now we're going to color change back to that very first color we used. And now we're ready to start row 39. We're going to cut the old color off, leave a little tail. And you have the 2 tails. You're going to crochet over them as you go. For row 39, you're going to do 20 half double crochets and then a decrease. So start off doing the 20. Okay, so you've got your 20 half double crochets and then a decrease. And repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 39, you should have 126 stitches all the way around. Now we're going to continue with row 40, and that is 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. So 126. Okay, row 40 is done, and you should have 126 stitches for that row. For row 41, you're going to do 19 half double crochets and then 1 decrease. So get your stitch marker in there. And continue all the way around. Row 41 is done. You should have 120 stitches. Row 42, 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Row 42 is done with 120 stitches. Row 43, you're going to do 18 half double crochets. Okay, 18 half double crochet and then a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Row 43 is done. You should have 114 stitches. For row 44, you're just going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, row 44 is done. 114 half double crochets. Row 45, you're going to do 17 half double crochets and then a decrease. Okay, 17 half double crochets and then a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 45 is done. You should have 108 stitches. Row 46 is just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So again, 108 stitches. Row 47, you're going to do 7 half double crochets and then a decrease, and repeat that around. Okay, row 47 is done with 96 stitches. For row 46, we're going to do 6 half double crochet and a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. 6 half doubles and 1 decrease. Okay, row 48 is done with 84 stitches. Okay, for row 49, we're going to do 5 half double crochets and then a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 49 is done and you should have 72 stitches. For row 50, you're going to do 4 half double crochets and a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 50 is done, and as you can see, we are getting close to the end since it is starting to close up on the top. So at this point, I'm going to start filling it with polyfill so that I don't have a really tiny entrance, so that it's not really hard to get the stuffing in there later on. And then as I get close to the end, I'll just keep adding more and more. I like to break up the polyfill a little bit. I don't just grab it in big chunks. I just think it makes it lumpy if you do that. So as I'm taking it out of the bag, I'm sort of doing this to it. Just keep squishing it down as you go. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because I just used up the entire bag. That was 12 ounces. I will continue stuffing that as I keep going. Okay, for row 51, we're gonna do 3 half double crochets and then 1 decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, row 51 is done, and make sure you have 48 stitches. For row 52, just do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, row 52 is done. Row 53, you're going to do 2 half double crochet and then a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Row 53 is done. Make sure you have 36 stitches. Row 54, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, for row 55, you're going to do 1 half double crochet and 1 decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Row 55 is done, and you should have 24 stitches. At this point, you want to stop and add more polyfill. Right now, mine's looking more like an oval instead of a circle. This needs to get filled so that it's taller, and then we'll continue with the last couple of rows. Alright, I used about a quarter more of another bag, and you can see now it's looking a lot more like a circle. And just keep adding until you like the shape. Okay, for row 56, we're going to do 12 decreases. Make sure you keep these stitches tight, because now that you have all that stuffing in there, it's going to make it a little harder to keep your tension tight here. Okay, row 56 is done, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more before doing the last round. And you should have 12 stitches. Yes, there's little gaps there because it's kind of hard to get the tension tight there, but that's going to be covered by the little piece that goes on the top of the ornament, so you know, it doesn't have to be pretty. And then the very last row is 6 decreases. Okay, and then fasten off with a long enough tail to sew the hole closed. Mine is about that long. Take your needle, and then what you're going to do is go through the front loop of the 6 stitches on the last row. So here is my first stitch, and I'm only going through that front loop there, not through both. And then pull up. So that's 1, 2, 3. Alright, and then pull that tight. And then you can see the hole is closed. And then just go right through the center. And come up somewhere else. And do that a couple of times. So just going in and pick like a different random direction. And I try to go, you know, like split the yarn like that instead of going through like a big open hole, because then it's just more secure. So I'm going to keep doing that until the tail is really short. And again, this whole section here is going to be covered by that little top piece with the little handle. And I'll do like one more. And then just cut that extra. That's the back. And there's the front. Alright, next we're going to make the top of the ornament. And I'm going to use this silver glittery stuff since I use a lot of glitter yarn already on this. We're going to start with a magic ring. So like we did at the beginning, you're going to take the tail, curl it over like this, bring the loop down, and then grab that and bring that to the left. Pull your tail end a little bit, pull this all tight, and we're going to do 6 half double crochet into the ring. And then pull that tight. For row 2, we're going to increase into each stitch, so that's 2 half double crochets into each stitch. Okay, you should have 12 stitches. Row 3 is the same as row 2 with an increase in each stitch, all half double crochet. Okay, you should have 24 stitches for row 3. For row 4, you're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next stitch and an increase in the next one. You should have 36 stitches for row 4. For row 5, you're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, and then an increase. And repeat that all the way around for row 5. Okay, row 5 is done. You should have 48 stitches. If it is not laying flat, you might have added extra stitches somewhere, so make sure you are counting each row. Or if you used a different size yarn or hook, that could be affecting how flat this lays, because it should be completely flat. Row 6 is going to be completely done in the back loop only. And if you've never done that, oh, and again, it's all half double crochet. So here is my next stitch, instead of me going like this under both stitches, I'm going to only go under the back loop like this. And you complete your stitch no different. So again, the next one, there's my next stitch, there's the 2 loops, and I'm only gonna go into the back one like that. Okay, and you should have 48 stitches again. And what that back loop did is, here was the first couple rows we did, and it makes this angled edge that goes down. So we're going to keep working this way. For rows 7 to 11, we're just going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and we're going back to normal, working in both loops like that. This is what it should look like after row 11, like a little bowl. Okay, this last part, we're going to do the little shell edging, which is the part that's going to be laying on the ornament. So first you want to slip stitch in the next stitch. Then you're going to skip 1 stitch and do 5 double crochets in the next one. Okay, so we're skipping that one and doing all 5 double crochets into this stitch. Okay, that's what it looks like when you have all 5 in there. Then you're gonna skip 1 stitch, so that's this one here, and single crochet in the next one. And then that anchors it down. You're going to repeat that 11 times all the way around. So skip 1 stitch, 5 double crochets into the same stitch. Okay, so skipping that one, all 5 double crochets into this one. Skip the next stitch and single crochet into the next one. And now we have 2 shells. And keep going around. Okay, this is my 12th shell with 5 double crochets. So I repeated the same thing 11 times, where you end with that single crochet, and then I started the last one, so there's my 5 doubles in 1 stitch, and then to finish it off, we're going to skip the next stitch, and this is where you're going to put your single crochet, which is the same stitch you did that very first slip stitch in. Okay, so when you look at it from the top, okay, it looks like this from the top, sort of like a little flower shape, and you're going to fasten off here with a very long tail. You need the tail to be long enough to sew through this edge where you just did this row of shells all the way around onto the ornament ball. So just give yourself plenty of extra. It's better to have too much. And if you don't know what fasten off means, it's sort of like doing a slip stitch, right? So there's my slip stitch, and then you just pull through and then cut it and then pull that out. And then just to give you an idea of how much I cut off, that's my tail. The very last piece we're going to make is the little loop that is going to be attached to the top of this. So start off with a long chain because you're going to use your starting tail to sew that onto here. So I'm going to give myself a long tail like that, and just do a slip knot, and then chain 20. Okay, and when you get to the end, give yourself another long tail that you'll be using to sew the other end on. Okay, so there is my loop, which will go like that. Okay, so thread one end onto your needle, and then you're gonna sew it on between rows 4 and 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, how you put this on will determine, you know, when you're holding it, which way is gonna face forward. So here's where it ends, and I want that to be on the back. So I went in here, and then I'm gonna go in for the other end over here so that this ends up towards the back. Let's go down a little bit. So I went in between 4 and 5. I'm gonna pull that through, and then it'll stop where my chain starts. See that? Okay, and then on the inside, I'm gonna tie a nice strong knot. So I'm flipping this inside out. And I'm gonna go through a nice chunk of yarn. All right, so that's one knot, and I'm gonna do 2 more just to make it really secure, because the weight of that ball is really going to pull on this. And 1 more. And I don't need to worry about hiding that tail, because that can just stay in there, because when I attach it to the ball, it's not going to be able to come out anyway. All right, and then let's get the other end, thread that on. Okay, so I'm going to go directly across, and you can line it up with the center, and I can see that this is where I need to go in to make it nice and even and straight. So I'm going to pull that tight, and that's how it's going to look. We want to stop where the knot is, flip that over, and secure it. With my needle here, I'm not going all the way through to the front. I'm sort of going through the middle of the yarn. Okay, so now we have our loop attached to the top. And again, we can leave those tail ends inside. Then next, we're going to fill this with polyfill. Now, I actually find it easier to, because this is just such a big opening on the bottom, it's going to be easier to sew this down mostly on the ball and then like leave an opening to stuff that in there. So we're actually going to do that toward the end. Okay, so next we're going to sew the top onto the ornament. You want to make sure you're going to sew it onto the last rows we did and not the first ones, because you can see the beginning looks nicer and neater than the end. So that way we can cover that up. I've got some pins. I use these to pin things in place so it doesn't move around. We want these to be sewn on between rows 6 and 7. So I'm going to put a pin in there and then do the same the other way. Okay, so you can see my 2 pins evenly spaced. We're going to look for that join of the row, so we make that the back. And then same with this. Here's where it ended, so I'm going to make that the back. Like that and like that. That's how I want it lined up. And what I want is for this pin to go in right where the shell stitches start. So right in there like that. then on this side, make sure any of those tail ends that we had tucked inside are gonna stay inside for when you sew that on. And I'm gonna add more pins to secure the entire thing. And again, I'm going through where the shell stitch begins, right at the edge. Okay, that's enough to hold it in place. And then we're gonna thread the end of this tail. And starting where this ended, I'm gonna go in to the gray and also into the white. So I'm going down deep enough to go all the way into the ball. And that's what's nice about this needle having that bend to it. It makes it easier to go down and come back up. So we're gonna go in, and then I'm gonna try to come back up along this line. And I did go from here to here, and I kind of skipped a little gap just because it's hard to really turn that needle. So I'm gonna go in a little bit back right here. Just make sure, you know, you're pretty much going through almost every stitch so that you don't have a hole for any stuffing to come out. So keep going until you have, you know, maybe like this much not sewn closed toward the end. And then we'll fill this part with stuffing. If it starts to hurt your hands to pull the needle through, I use pliers. And this is something I wish someone told me early on, because I feel like I hurt my hands a lot in the past. But after a while, a couple of these, it starts to hurt. So just use this, and it's crazy how much easier it just makes it on you. All right, we're getting towards the end now, where from this pin here, from that pin all the way around to where this ended is sewn shut. And then there's still a hole left here. So now we're gonna fill this with stuffing. All right, I think I have that firm enough. So I'm gonna continue until this is all the way closed up to here. Okay, there's the last pin that I'm taking out. All right, we have sewn all the way around, and that's how the top looks now. I'll put it sideways so you can see. All right, so now we want to tie this off and weave in the end. So since we have gray, we're going to stay where the gray is. So we'll go back in somewhere close to where we ended off. And we're going to tie a knot nice and tight. We're going to go through, go inside, and come up again where it's gray. We can do another knot here. And go back in and come back up where it's gray. And just do that a couple of times until, you know, you feel like you've done enough to keep it from coming loose. All right, and then do a little test. And it can hold the weight just fine. And then we're gonna cut that tail end off.